Someone offered to help you carry it, and you heard yourself say, "I've got it," before you'd even checked whether you did. So why does something that small make your whole body tense, as if you'd just been handed a threat instead of a favor? It isn't pride. It isn't coldness. By the end of this, you'll know the exact calculation your brain ran in childhood to build that wall, and the reason it refuses to tear it down. Because here's what almost no one tells you. In the 1980s, an epidemiologist named Sherman James found that the people who cope alone, who refuse on principle to lean on anyone, pay for it inside their own bodies. Higher blood pressure, heart disease. The wall you built to keep yourself safe is quietly aging the one organ keeping you alive. And it might not even be necessary. Researchers at Stanford and Cornell proved that you underestimate how willing other people are to help you by as much as half. So by the end of this, you'll understand why your nervous system reads a helping hand as danger, and the single, almost embarrassingly small move that finally convinces it the threat is over. Let me describe your own reflex back to you. Someone asks if you're okay, and "fine" is out of your mouth before they finish the sentence. A friend offers to drive you somewhere, and your whole body tenses at the thought of being a passenger. Picture this. You're moving apartments. You're hauling a couch up 3 flights of stairs alone, sweat soaking through your shirt. And there are 6 people in your phone who all said, "Call me if you need anything." You will not call. You would genuinely rather throw out your back than send that text. That feeling has a clinical name. The psychiatrist John Bowlby, the man who founded attachment theory, called it compulsive self-reliance. Not independence, compulsive. A reliance on yourself you cannot switch off, even when it is actively hurting you. And it is not rare or random. Researchers West and Sheldon mapped 4 broken patterns of adult attachment, and out of all 4, compulsive self-reliance was the strongest predictor of psychological distress. Read that again. The trait you are most proud of is the one most tightly tied to quiet suffering. You're not fine alone. You've just locked the door from the inside. But here's what nobody tells you about this reflex. You weren't born with it, you built it. And you built it because at some point, it was the correct answer. Picture this. You're 7 years old. Something is wrong, and you go to the person who is supposed to make it better, and they're too tired, or too angry, or they somehow make it about themselves, or they are simply not there. So you go quiet. You handle it yourself. And the world does not end. Your brain takes notes. It runs a cold, brilliant little calculation. Needing people gets me hurt. Needing nothing keeps me safe. Psychologists call the soil this grows in childhood emotional neglect, an environment where your needs were consistently missed, minimized, or just not noticed. It is rarely dramatic. It is usually invisible. And a child in that house learns one lesson with total clarity. The only person who reliably shows up is me. So self-reliance stops being a skill. It becomes an identity, a wall you mistook for a personality. And the culture around you applauded because we love to dress this particular wound up as a virtue and call it rugged individualism. Emerson built an entire essay around self-reliance as a moral ideal back in 1841. A president, Herbert Hoover, turned it into a campaign slogan. You were handed a flattering story that told you the cage was a crown. Here's the cruel part. It worked. You did survive. Which is exactly why your brain refuses to let it go. Here's where it stops being theory and starts being biology. Because why doesn't asking for help just feel awkward? Why does it feel dangerous? In 1994, the neuroscientist Stephen Porges introduced a concept he called Neuroception. Below your conscious thought, your nervous system is constantly scanning the room, deciding exactly one thing. Am I safe or am I in danger? It does this faster than you can think a single word. And here's the catch. When you grow up bracing for threat, that scanner gets recalibrated. It starts flagging danger in places that are completely, provably safe. So when a kind person leans in and says, "Let me help you with that," your body does not hear kindness. It hears a trap. The throat tightens. The jaw sets. Something that feels almost exactly like shame floods in. And out comes the line. "I'm fine." That is not a decision. It is an alarm firing underneath the decision. You are not refusing help. Your body is refusing a threat it learned to detect 30 years ago. The danger is long gone. The alarm never got the message. It's still standing guard at a door that no one is trying to open. But here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This strategy is not free. In the 1980s, an epidemiologist named Sherman James gave the bill a name. He called it John Henryism, after the folk hero who beat the machine with his bare hands and then dropped dead from the sheer effort. James studied people who cope with relentless stress through pure solo determination, refusing, on principle, to lean on anyone. And he found their bodies were quietly paying for it, in higher blood pressure, in hypertension, in heart disease. Sit with that. The wall you built to keep yourself safe is slowly aging the one organ keeping you alive. And the cruelest twist is that the wall might not even be necessary. Stanford's Francis Flynn and Cornell's Vanessa Bones ran 4 separate studies on what actually happens when people ask for help. They found we underestimate how likely others are to say yes by as much as 50%. Read that again. Half. That iron certainty in your gut that nobody would help you anyway is not insight. It is a measurement error. People want to help you far more than your nervous system will ever let you believe. You have spent years declining a hand that was the entire time reaching back toward you. So here's what actually changes it, and it is not the advice you are bracing for. Nobody is going to tell you to just ask for help, because that sentence has never once worked on you, and it never will. Instead, start here. Thank it. That reflex kept a child safe when no one else would. It earned its place. You do not fire the bodyguard who once took a bullet for you, but you can update him, because the alarm is running on 30-year-old data, and the people around you now are not the people who let you down then. The way you teach a nervous system that the world has changed is not with a speech, it's with evidence. So you ask for something small, something low stakes, almost embarrassingly minor. Let someone carry one bag. Let a friend pick the restaurant. And then you watch as the thing your body predicted, the rejection, the burden, the disappointment, quietly fails to arrive. That is the update, not a leap, a single, deliberate, repeated piece of new evidence. Independence was never the problem. Being unable to ever, even once, put it down. That's the problem, because the version of you that learned to need no one was built by a version of your life that does not exist anymore. The next video goes into the strange thing that happens to people exactly like you the moment someone finally gets past the wall, and why it can terrify you more than being alone ever did. It's already waiting for you. Subscribe and watch that one next.